Afro Fish OG. What is up, everyone? It is Taylor and Scorpio back again here on another episode of Afro and the Scorp. It's been a minute since we have been on here. It's just busyness has been both kind of taking over our lives, I know. But I'm glad to be back. I know you're glad to be back as well.
Am I always glad to be back? Nah, yeah, I'm always
Yeah,
glad to be back.
you are. Yeah, you're glad to
Oh,
be back.
okay, fine. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy that you're back here again. I hope we can do this for another round here. My room is a complete total mess right now because I'm lazy lately and I just haven't cleaned it.
That's okay. I'm a total mess myself. You know, I've had the worst 2 mornings, but yeah.
No, to put it nicely, you've had the worst 2 mornings. I don't know. Let's see if this even works on there. Oh, I got a little bit, Hey, look at that. It doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, see, it's not as messy as this, where my hand disappears.
Well, mine's no. I'm being eaten, but but I'm excited to just sit and chill and just. It's kind of just a BS stream today. So since we pretty much BS during any other time, so might as well make it a stream out of it.
But well, I got some BS to open up.
Go ahead. Oh, he just left.
Yeah. There you go, BS.
All right, then we got the BS stream. I was like, oh, he's gone. But no, starting it off, I remember we talked about you had a 7-hour stream.
Okay, no, a 7.5-hour battle fight with a boss fight.
Explain.
No, a 9-hour stream. So okay, so that's the second BS other than the whole cutout intro there. Okay, so I'm a fan of Final Fantasy, and I've been wanting to play Final Fantasy Rebirth for since it came out back in February. So yeah, life has taken over. I've been doing other RPGs in the meantime. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We're gonna kill this now. We're on chapter 14, the last chapter. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. We're doing chapter 13, going into chapter 14. Around the 4.5-hour mark here, we're ready to go. I'm like, okay, we're set. And there will be spoilers. We're going after Sephiroth. Last fight. Everybody who plays Final Fantasy knows Sephiroth is, the end all, OG, be all. Okay. 4.5 hours. Great. Come up to the climax, the scene, Aerith, Sephiroth, the whole stabby.
Mm-hmm.
Tears rolling down my eyes at this point. I'm like, Aerith, no. Okay. Q Gigaboss. Doesn't happen. Out pops Jenova. Okay, who's Jenova? Well, Jenova's the mother of the boss. Okay. So, fight. Stage 1. Cool. 2 hours have passed, not realizing stuck in a fight. So we're now at the 6-hour mark from 4.5. Great. I've died about already 50 times. Yes, I suck. I'm level 49 at this point. Recommended level, by the way, to be at this fight. Recommended. No higher than 51 to 55. I'm already severely underleveled.
You're underleveled.
Yeah, no, not just severely, because at this point I'm also going in there with barely a med kit, with barely medical.
Were you not expecting this fight to happen?
Well, it did say you hit the point of no return. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. All I have is a whole bunch of shitload of Giga Potions. I only have about 50 of them.
Right.
Yeah, no, the first stage of the boss wiped out almost 25 of my Giga Potions out of the 50.
Jesus.
Okay, that's only stage 1, which took about 2 hours. Stage 2 happened. Here we go. Another, 50 deaths, a couple hours. My health is dwindling. Stage 3. Cool. All right. We're already at the 7-hour mark. So I'm looking at my stream that should have ended, roughly around 5 hours, is now sitting at 7. So from the 4.5 to the 7-hour mark, now we're sitting at already 3.5 hours on this just one boss. finally beat it. Oh, it's over. Nope, out comes Sephiroth. Oh, by the way, let's fight. Okay. 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 Fight Sephiroth. You know, you're with Zach. Another couple hours there. So now we're at 9 hours. Okay. Get to the second stage. No, this mofo is a Giga Boss now. He comes out as Sephiroth Reborn. Now you could look this up. Look at what this giant ass mofo looks like. He's the size of a planet.
Mm.
And you gotta take him down. Okay. Fighting. Get him finally down to the third stage at 9.5 hours. Over 1,000, I guarantee you, I must have hit at least 200 deaths in that one stream.
Mm.
My mind is beat. I look at the time, it's 4:30 in the morning. It's almost 5 a.m. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. So I'm like, I have to end the stream. You know what happens when you end the stream? You lose all that progress. You have to restart back at chapter 14. Don't I lose it all over again?
Why?
Because there's no save points. It only saves during the phase saves. So no matter what phase you're at, you could restart from that phase, but it doesn't save your progress in mid boss battle. It's either you nut up and shut up and go the distance, or you wait, pussy out, go do what you got to do, and then put on your big boy pants and you go all the way back in for the long haul.
See, and I think that's interesting to me because it's like I get it, like you're underleveled, right?
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, what's interesting to me about that is the fact that how long this fight has to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they said it was one of the longest fights.
Yeah, I get that, like, there's long fights being and all that other kind of junk, right?
Yeah.
But I've never understood why people go out of their way so hard to make the fights long. I don't mind making the fights tough. That's fine.
But like dragging it out.
Yeah, when it starts to feel like it's dragging, or they give them like an unnecessary health bar. This is actually something I used to have an issue with when it came to difficulty. Yeah. Difficulty in games, because it didn't feel like the enemies got any smarter. They just got damage spongier.
Oh yeah. Oh, but that's not even the worst of it. But like you said, you just touched on the health bar. Now, each time you fight the boss, you're chipping away. So the whole point of Final Fantasy is every time you stagger, that's where half their life diminishes. Every time you have to hit a stagger point. So when I restarted up my next stream, I beat the full game in an extra 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes. So in total, that boss fight that should have, like, I thought was technically going to be a single boss fight turned into a boss and a giga boss fight, which lasted almost 7 hours. The thing is that when you fight Sephiroth, though, there's Sephiroth. He has his health bar is completely full. When he goes into Sephiroth Reborn, both of his forms have their own full health bar. You gotta defeat that 3 times, and then you face him again at the end of that. So in his final form, which is exactly like his first form, just at the very end, after 4 forms, he has again a full health bar. So each time his health bar is full. It's not like it's draining every time. It's one is full, complete. The second one is full, complete. The third full is full, complete, and the fourth is full, complete. But each time you have to stagger him in order to diminish his health.
Well, and that just feels like it's so excessive at that point. Like it feels like it's just unnecessarily excessive, if that makes sense.
It is. Now, I hear you clicking away there, but do you have it pulled up? Like, do you see what he looks like?
No, I'm just about to.
So you're gonna see him and you're gonna be like, what the hell is this?
7 Rebirth. Is it Sephiroth then? Sephiroth fight?
Yeah. And then check out where it says Sephiroth Reborn.
Is that where he gets his wing?
Yeah, where he looks like he's a yellow planet with like a giant egg.
Okay. Oh, damn, it's like an hour or something fight. Oh, plus the ending scene. Okay.
plus the ending scene on top of that.
Oh, okay. That's Geneva. I'm looking at Geneva right now. So I'm actually
Yeah,
gonna pull
Genova.
this up, or Genova.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna pull this up on screen for everyone to watch. We're not gonna watch the whole thing because that would be ridiculous.
No. But I've seen people that are like level
Okay, so
50s.
she's like a big old monster lady.
Okay, yeah. So that's Genova. So this is the first part of the battle that you're going is Genova.
This is after Aerith gets stabbed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Aerith dies, and then Sephiroth is like, "I'll need my mommy."
No. This is part 1 of the fight now.
Okay,
So
so Aerith,
after
why did Aerith have to die?
because she sacrifices herself. Now there's a lot of talks saying that people think, oh, she's not dead, she's in another timeline where only Cloud could see her because he's degrading himself. He's going through degradation, which all soldiers do because of the Mako poisoning.
The
But
Atonement? Is this it?
yeah, that's it.
That's the rebirth version.
Yep, that's Sephiroth Reborn right there. This is his third
Oh,
form.
he's only hitting. Look, he's only hitting for like 1 1 1 1 1. Oh
Yeah,
no.
that's his third. That's his third form. His third. That's not even his second. His second, like, is by himself, where Cloud has to go by himself. Like, okay, so this is
Here's the
right here. So this is the last form. This is the last part of the fight.
I mean, it makes sense that this would be the last part of the fight. Like
Yeah.
you can just
Yo,
see.
what's up, voice?
Like that's crazy. What up, voice?
But yeah,
like that. Just those kind of fights. I'm not gonna lie, are just kind of excessive to me personally. I don't mind multiple stage boss fights, but I think making a fight where that fight was an hour long, that's a long ass time. I don't know if to me if that's difficulty or maybe just I'm just the type of person that's just not as big with because it slows me down a lot. But like that just seems excessive, man.
well, okay, so it's like saying it's pulling everything that you've learned up until this point. So it's like turning around and saying, okay, this is what you've done on your journey. This is what you're given. Show me what you've got now. Show me what you've learned. Show me what you've done. And it's like, the whole thing with Genova is you scan it. There's no immunities. It's immune to everything. It's like you have nothing. So you're like, what the hell do I do? You're just going in there, slashing, hacking, doing whatever, and you're just doing an inch at a time of health. And then it's like, okay, it doesn't tell you what to do. Then you see like you saw Sephiroth there, where they're hitting like that core, and ice is just dropping from the thing. Well, if you look at his wings, he has wings, and they change a different color. Well, how are you supposed to know what you're supposed to do on those different colors? You're supposed to use magic.
Well, on top of that too, you can't really see it very well because of how the camera is. And this is actually something that I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use Elden Ring again because at this point I'm pretty much the Chris Collinsworth of Elden Ring. So like, I just feel like I glaze it way too much. But like, this is the same issue that they have when you're fighting someone like the Fire Giant, and you have to hit the hands mainly to do the most damage. But like his hands are up above, you can't see them all the time, and so it makes it a little more of a difficult fight. On top of that, when I look at like let's say someone like or like the Elden Beast, right? Because the Elden Beast is similar, where it's like it has basically it's immune to everything. The only thing you're gonna be able to do is stagger it.
Right. Well, now picture that though. So Elden Ring, you're boosting your character to its max, and you're like, okay, you're gonna go in and fight the hardest boss, whichever the hardest boss is in that game. And then all of a sudden, it's like, no, we're gonna let your side characters fight, and you haven't even touched your side characters. It's like, really?
Right.
So what are you supposed to do at that point? So it's like, this is how they broke down the fight. So that first Genova fight that you saw, you're like, oh, this is Genova. At first, it's you and whoever is in your party. So if it's you, Tifa, and Aerith. Okay, cool. Fight. Oh, Aerith is banished. Oh, Tifa's banished. So it's just you and Genova. It's like you're by yourself. Mm-hmm. So it just randomly, out of the blue, they're banished. So, okay. So you're like, so what now? Fight. And then eventually you get it to stagger, and they all come back. Then it destroys the floor, and it breaks it up into 3 now. So now it's Tifa and Kate. Well, I don't touch Kate, like Kate Seth, the cat. So
Yeah.
it's Tifa and the cat. You're like, okay, so you're fighting. You have to fight its wing. Then after it's the dog and Barrett. It goes to the second stage, the dog and Barrett. And so it's like, okay, you're using those characters. Then it falls again to the third stage. Oh, it's Cloud and Yuffie. And God, Yuffie, I can't stand Yuffie. Right? I don't use her.
You've talked about Yuffie before.
Oh, I don't care. She's a crutch. She is utterly the crutch of the game to me. And it's like, Mother of God. I'm doing now. It's Cloud and Yuffie. Okay, cool.
Oh, hold on. So I'm playing some Sons of the Forest. I think is that a horror based game?
It's a survival horror based.
Survival horror. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. It's a good Steam game from what I heard.
I want to give it a shot. Sorry, continue.
No, it's fine. Sons of the Forest. If anybody doesn't know, it's a continuation of The Forest. It's a sequel to survival horror where they crash landed in a forest and something to do with cannibals, I believe.
No, damn.
Yeah, but yeah, and then it's like, and then afterwards it's the Sephiroth fight. Then it's you and Aerith or you and Zack, and then you're with Aerith, and then it's like after that you're not even touching Cloud. You're touching everybody but Cloud, and then it's Cloud and Aerith at the end. It's like, so it's a long ass fight. You're dragging on, and you're using people that you're like either you haven't touched or you're not like that well rehearsed with.
Right. No, and that's the thing is like it just kind of makes the game seem so much longer because now it's like, okay, I get it, the team fight, but it also feels like such a drag, and people you're just gonna lose interest. It's a battle of attrition, and like for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of battle of attrition fights, because once their gimmick is done, then it's just like, okay, well now this is getting boring, and this is continuing, this is slogging on and on and on, and it just gets way too much. I kill cannabises. Hey, we don't kill the cannabises here, okay?
We eat them cannabis.
Yeah, they're trying to eat me, so I eat them back.
That's how we get them diabetes.
I don't think that's how that works, though. I'm pretty sure that's how bad stuff.
Yeah, but you can't get them diabetes without them cannabises.
Right? Yeah, like so. I'm just I think when it comes to video, like games that have insanely long boss fights, not difficult, not per se, just very long. They're not fun. They're not fun to me. They really I don't like long boss fights unless there's stuff that is constantly mixing it up. One of them off the top of my head was the Third Age, Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. I don't know if you ever played it.
No.
It came out on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, and I remember because I think my parents bought me it for the GameCube, but we had a PlayStation 2. So like, but it was during one of the fights you fight the Balrog, right? Because it's like an alternate, like you're kind of going at the same time as the Fellowship.
Yeah.
So like after the Fellowship, after Gandalf falls, you end up underneath, and you end up fighting the Balrog. And so as you're fighting him, he has like his flame whip and he has a flame sword, but then he has one called the Pillar of something where he just flies in the air and slams the ground, and it'll just insta kill your whole group.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Like,
That happens.
as I'm playing this, and I'm like, yo, this is unfun because it's incredibly long. It's a long fight. I like that's why I think with I'm going to use like Melania's fight because you brought her up earlier. Melania's fight to me is not necessarily long. You just have to focus. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between like focusing because the game is constantly keeping you engaged versus we're just going to go. Like you could have cut the boss's health and made them maybe a little more aggressive. You know?
Oh yeah.
Because it comes to a point where it starts to get ridiculous. And that's where my issue comes in, is like where it's like you sitting like this and you're like, I don't want to keep going because I've been playing this game for even 15, 20 minutes, and 20 minutes has just been this boss fight of him just doing the same shit. And eventually it just gets to a point where you're like, yeah, no, like I'm just done.
Oh, if I could even recommend like one of my viewers like freaking sat there and watched everything, and it's like he's just sitting there and he's like, what the hell? And at one point he left, and like like 2.5 hours later, he comes back and he's like, I thought you were done. And I'm like, buddy, I haven't even cracked even the second stage yet. And he's like, what?
Well, I get
And
it. Like,
then it's just like, and like you said, that then when the boss adds the cheap one hit KOs, and you're in there and you're like, you're going and you're not even expecting it. Oh yeah, by the way, he pulls out a sword, and it's something called the Angel of Death, and it pulls all your team. So if you have like over 6,000 HP, no, you're at one. Just instantly, you're at one. They're one hit. There's no avoiding it, no nothing. No matter where you are on the map, you're down to 1 HP.
yeah,
And it's
I
like,
can
if you
see
don't
this
heal yourself,
too.
you're done.
Because like I'm watching a bit of this fight during Sephiroth, and it's just like he's just doesn't seem like he's really getting anywhere. Yeah, he's doing stagger damage.
That's what it is. That's how you have to beat them. It's not a matter of going outright, hey, I'm gonna shoot you dead. It's, I have to get you to stagger in order for you to lose almost a quarter of your health. That's
Right.
how they determine the health loss in Final Fantasy, is by the staggers.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I see it like when he's in his second form and he's using his like little tendril arms, and you have to switch back over, and like I don't know, like
But you
I
know
get
what?
it, I like it because I will say there was a part of me that did kind of want something like this in 16, right? Because I wanted to be able to kind of play as other ones in 16. That was fun. However, I do understand that, like, it's a Final Fantasy game, so I shouldn't be surprised.
I mean, 16 was a bit of a trek as well. Like when it came to the final, like if you want carpal tunnel syndrome, play the Final Fantasy series. Because the amount of tapping that came in 16 as well, it's like, Jesus Christ.
No, that's absolutely true. And what's actually really interesting? This just popped in my head. Since playing games, like further games down the line when it comes to RPGs, especially open world RPGs, I have just not picked up Skyrim. I have just not picked back up Skyrim like at all. I don't even think about it.
which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing because games like Elden Meringue, but like Elden Meringue Pie. But like the thing that kind of surprised me a little bit when I thought about that was like I just don't think about this at all anymore. Oh, what up? Cool, Kooky.
Cool.
I don't know why, but I got them mixed up. I was like getting tongue tied here. But I don't think about Skyrim anymore. Like because it's like when I think about going back to Skyrim, I think of like kind of a cheap system. It's still very it feels kind of underdeveloped. A fun story and a lot of side quest stuff that is still fun. Don't get me wrong. But like, especially for someone who is like a magic user, the magic system in that is terrible. But it hasn't really been, it's never been good. Like, I think that hear me out on this. Okay. Like, it's funny because like when I look at like Elden Ring's Frozen, like the lightning that you get, right? So I get my lightning spear where I toss the spear, right? And I get my lightning strike. And then I have my ancient dragon lightning like attacks where I have like Fortisax lightning. He has lightning in both hands, and you're like floating in the air, and you just slam the ground. I have beast magic. I have dragon magic. I have ice magic. I have death blight, which is useless. I have what other magic is there? I have like the regular fire magic. I have god slaying magic, and then I go back like I go back to thinking about Skyrim, and I'm like, I have fireball, I have chain lightning, and then I have this ice move where I can go, whoo, and that's it. Like I do have abilities like telekinesis, but you know what's better? You know what's shitty about telekinesis is it sucks in Skyrim. You know where it's better? In fucking like BioShock, where if I picked up my water, right, and I picked my water like this with telekinesis and I threw it, I swear to God, if in Skyrim it hit me like that would be it, and I would be like, dude, this is terrible. But like in the other ones, in Elden Ring, fuck, in BioShock, that thing would have came like a bullet. It hit me in the head as like KO. It'll look like fucking Grand Theft Auto after you take enough of the pew pews. You just just be like wasted, right? But like Skyrim's, oh, it bothers me because like even the dragon fights are kind of boring. I mean, they're kind of boring in Elden Ring too. Not gonna lie, but I still like them. Like,
Okay, I'm gonna interject on that because I will just flat out say it. Skyrim is not boring. It's been overplayed so many years. It's on every freaking console that needs to die. No, it's no. Here's the hear me out section. It's done. Get it over with. It's out. I like it. Once I 1,000 gamer scored it, it's done. It's dead. You can't go back. It's literally beating a dead horse. You cannot go back to it. You once you get a taste of every game that has quote unquote speed, that's it. It's too slow. Like if Skyrim were to pick up like Elden Ring, if Skyrim were to pick up like Final Fantasy, like where they actually pick up the speed, yeah, you'll have a top contender. But you know what? Skyrim, die already. It's dead. Get to Elder Scrolls 6. They're just filling it in. Like that's what they're waiting for. Again, you don't need to make a Skyrim for every friggin' series series console that comes out. It's over and done with. It's overplayed. Okay, done deal. But like those dragon fights, yeah, they're in Final Fantasy as well. I love them. Give me Elden Ring. I guarantee you this Christmas we're gonna have an Elden Christmas. And yes, you are quoting me on that one because I am getting it. That's right. My dumbass is getting into that game this Christmas.
well, the
Like,
thing too is
and you
like,
want to talk about stubborn? I don't care. Like I said, if I had to sit through a 7.5 hour freaking boss battle fight, give me Bale, give me Melania, and give me Rodan on top of that, and I'll sit there for 8 hours and I'll freaking underlevel fight that for 9 hours straight. All
okay, good
back to
luck with
back.
that one. But like, I think the thing, okay, but like,
I've done it before, and I've sat there. I've done a 12-hour stream where I sat there on one boss, and it took me. Well, okay, hold on. Let me just say. Let me go back. How many times have I said each stream that it's taking me almost 3 or 4 hours on a boss fight, one boss? And why? Because my dumbass is severely underleveled. Whose fault is that? Mine. Who
yeah,
gives a
it's
shit?
yours.
Not me. Yeah, but who gives a shit? Not me. Oh, you may be sitting out there in your Elden cloak and be like, I'm 140 and I beat Malene. Okay, that's nice. I'll beat it at 99. I beat 99 at Bloodborne. I beat 99 at Liza P.
I mean,
Who
I think.
struggled and who cried? I did. Who got the fun out of it? I am.
I mean, I've seen people beat him in like the level 1 levels, but I
Yeah.
will say,
Naturally. No, yeah, but no cheats.
well, well, no, but there's no cheat. There's no cheats in the game. If they let you use it, there's no cheats.
Hmm? Oh
Uh,
no. I'm talking about like in Bloodborne. There's actual cheats that people do like exploits, like the
uh,
Bloodborne exploits for farming and stuff.
well, and I think like, okay, so like for
Right?
example,
Voices said I'm built different.
you're
That's
not,
right. I
but
sit
like,
here and I'm stubborn. I'm built different. I cry.
but like, I think part of the thing too is like when I look at like when I look at Skyrim and then I look at something like Elden Ring, and yeah, like I think Skyrim's gonna have to take a real hard look at, or the next Elder Scrolls is gonna have to take a real hard look on games like Witcher, on games like an Elden Ring. Um, how are you going to make people invested and want to play your game, especially if they did like Elden Ring, an upgraded edition, let's say for the PS6 or whatever the fuck, like you best believe that they're going to have like people are not going to want to go get Elder Scrolls 6 as much because we've had a taste of what a real fantasy game should feel like. The problem with Skyrim, and I get it because Skyrim came out on the 360, but it is old. It's something that's going to be buried into the past. And I don't think personally a lot of the gameplay mechanics are going to fit now. Because think about it, that really came out during a time, it was 2011, I think. It came out during a time where, Souls, any kind of Souls thing, either most of the Souls didn't happen or were incredibly niche, a niche group. You know what I mean? We've had better fantasy games come out. Like Skyrim's way of doing their games and you can look at Starfield, for example, too. It's kind of boring. You know, it's the same thing with, I feel, with like something like Far Cry. Far Cry itself is kind of boring. Like, and I think the open world, one of the things I love about when it came to Skyrim was the first time exploring and seeing all these different tombs and seeing all these different areas, you know, that you've never explored, because one, it doesn't fucking hold your hand with it. Like, yeah, you get a map, but then you still you gotta traverse and actually use your brain to tell you what the map is. You know, I'm really hoping that Sky, or that the next Elder Scrolls is more than just Skyrim 2.0. You know what I mean? Personally, I think Oblivion in some ways is also just better than Skyrim, especially when it comes to the star system, the way that you level up and stuff. That's more important than the way that you do it in Skyrim. And because Skyrim is so boom open right away, there's a reason why like 90% of players started off with the fucking stealth archer. Like, most of them started off with the stealth archer because of that. And I hope that Bethesda looks at this and is like, oh, okay, well, we need to start doing something different. The combat needs to be more feel better. The AI for the enemies need to feel better. I should be able to switch hands on the fly when I'm fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should have to, you know, using my spells should feel different. Yes, you can have destruction spells and alteration spells. Like, one of the dumbest spells is the water breathing one, and it doesn't matter because you don't, there's barely any fucking water.
Yep.
Like, you know, the game needs to be, I wouldn't mind more boss fights in there. So they're going to have a lot of a step up because games like Elden Ring and The Witcher have kind of redefined what it means to be an open world fantasy RPG.
Even a game like Bloodborne, and Bloodborne is, by the way, going to already PlayStation 6. They already confirmed it that Bloodborne is getting a remaster for PlayStation 6.
Okay.
Which is a piss off to me and a lot of other fans out there that have been waiting almost 15 years for it to be remade. So,
oh no, exactly. And you know, I think that whenever that PS comes out, the PS6 comes out, which will be a long time. It'll definitely be a long time. But it's going to take, like I said, it's gonna take Bethesda a real hard look. And right now, I don't think they got it, because they did do an interview where they wanted to have three big franchises, right? They have Fallout, they have Elder Scrolls, now they have Starfield. So don't be surprised if you start seeing eventually they'll make another Starfield. The thing is, though, is that they were like really happy with how they did Starfield, to the point where in the interview, it kind of felt like they were kind of just not listening to any of the feedback. And I get being like, feel like I'm really proud of the game we made. Of course. I don't want you to feel like and be like, oh, I just hate it. I don't want that. Like, I want you to feel proud of the game that you made. But also in that same interview, address that there was some concerns that you guys that definitely did have. You know, that the fan base had, and make those adjustments. You know what I mean? So then when the next game comes out, like, for example, for when it came to Starfield, I'm not going to lie, Starfield was really boring. I know they think they did bring in a vehicle later on, but Starfield was really boring, and it kind of sucks that it felt that way. It shouldn't. Like, it shouldn't feel like a boring slog. And so I'm like, man, if they make the next Elder Scrolls and it kind of just feels like this boring slog, like, obviously it's going to have to look nice. It's Bethesda. They're always good at making games look nice. I'm not worried about that. You know, and I do believe it's up in the realm of the high elves. So, which kind of sucks, because I'm not going to lie, like, when we played in Skyrim, and I do like Skyrim, so don't hate me, I don't hate Skyrim. The scenery for it is not the greatest. Yeah, it's cool because you got the mountains and all that other kind of stuff, but I'm not going to lie, I kind of got bored with it after a while. I don't know if that's why living up in like Alberta, but like,
no, in Alberta, it's all flat.
Oh, really? Well, I
It's
mean, that's how it is in Whiterun. So, like,
yeah.
so in the next one, that's why I was really hoping for the Black Marsh. I was really pushing for the Black Marsh or the place of the Red Guards. That's where I really wanted it to go because I think that'd have been really, really cool. Like, they also seem very different from each other. Like, I'm not like when I go back to play Oblivion, which is rare, but I do go back to play Oblivion. I love it. I do love the look of Oblivion. It's forest or kind of foresty. You got little open plains. It's just kind of fun, But I'm not gonna lie. Also, the art design for that, the art style and all that, kind of works better than it does with Skyrim because it is this kind of more cartoony kind of look, and I think that's totally fine. But you know what's not like a pseudo more realistic look that just degrades a lot heavier. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
But
It does. So basically, like all in all, in the end, there's a lot of expectations, and it's they're high already.
like,
Just FromSoft with their games, they've already set the bar for RPG standards. Games yet to come out. One of them being my favorite of the series, Resident Evil 9, already in the talks, and there's already like a lot of rumors and a lot of hype around that, saying, well, they're focusing on this character, they're bringing this character back. It's going to open world concept. So the open world concepts are definitely like their bars are set. They're definitely getting things. Even again, Final Fantasy. There's 3. This is just the second. This is Rebirth. I finished. Fans are waiting for the 3rd. They even said if they take out just one concept out of the second one, nobody knows what it is yet, but I'm sure like Square Enix is definitely listening to their fans. If they take out one concept, I don't know what it is, but to me, like you said, maybe it could be that extra long fight. But again, those are what the Final Fantasies are known for. Those fights, those cinematics. But there's one core element that's in there, and they said that if they take it out, it will be like Game of the Year worthy. That's the thing. Nobody knows, but that's what these companies are like. That's what the companies are hinting at, like to make the game better. They listen. That they look at their previous games. So if Skyrim goes back, if Bethesda goes back, or if Bethesda goes back and looks at Skyrim and sees why it's failing, okay, this was it for its time. Elder Scrolls, looking at Skyrim and like the next one or the Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever. Take what was given, look at it, and now you see what direction it's going
in. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, I think, what made one of the almost back from ads. I forgot about ads. I think part of the thing is what made Skyrim so, or not Skyrim, but what made games like Elden Ring so much more of an upgrade when it came to Skyrim. And one of the things that's going to have to go in there is gameplay. I know we're kind of talking about like how big the open world is and all that other kind of stuff, but Elder Scrolls' gameplay is kind of boring. It's not the same. Like, you can hit it and you just have to swing. There's more to it now. When I play as a Colossal, right? I mean, Elden Ring has daggers, swords, light great swords, colossal swords, axes, halberds, spears, claws, maces, like twin swords, bows, like if you mod it, guns. Like,
let's talk no mods, because I've never ever modded any game.
I will never mod it, but watching it with guns is hilarious. Oh, even hand-to-hand fighting now.
Yep.
that is what, one, two, like 10, at least 10 different genres of weaponry that you can use. And guess what? Each one of those is different. Each one is different. You know what I mean? The colossal swords aren't going to work the same as the great swords, which aren't going to work the same as the short swords, which aren't going to work the same as the daggers. And that's how you have to do in Skyrim. Like you can't just get away with just, iron steel dagger and it does a little more damage. I have a orcish one and it does just a little more damage.
The dwarven glass swords.
Dwarven glass, it just does a little more damage. You know what I mean? You're going to have to make these seem. I mean, now on top of that too, you have other afflictions, right?
Yeah.
You have blood loss, you have death blight, useless. You have frostbite, which will allow them to take more damage, like 20% more damage. I don't have to tell you what blood loss is. You have madness. You have I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head.
Poison.
Poison. I think
just
poison. Yeah, poison. You have scarlet rot. Like you have other afflictions on top of that, and some of those weapons do afflictions. You have fire damage, you have magic damage, you have holy damage, you have lightning damage. There is so much detail that what Skyrim did, you are not going to be able to do anymore.
You can't. You literally can't. It's like going from Elden Ring and Diablo back down to the bare basics of the bare bones.
If they try to pull it off with some bare bones shit,
they won't. They'll crash and burn.
They're going to literally crash and burn, and that franchise is not going to recover.
Right. Again, you can't start running the moment you're born. You have to crawl. You have to learn how to even just stand to balance. So these devs have to take their shit, go back to the very beginning, and redo it. That's why, again, we do not want remasters anymore. We want remakes. Another perfect example of something that actually came out of the blue, Silent Hill. Silent Hill remake. But right now, Silent Hill remake, because of October, and we're gonna be touching on this in a couple of minutes. I'm just getting it out there now. It's a remake. We'll go into why in a couple minutes. We'll harp on it more, but I'm just saying that's one of the games that is right now shocking the gaming community.
Well, I think, I haven't played much about Silent Hill at all, but
I've never played it.
But I will say that I think it's not even just about remakes. It's not about needing remakes. It's more or less about you cannot start doing what you've been doing and get away with it.
Right.
You're going to have to make some adjustments. And I think right now, FromSoft and CD Projekt Red has now put Bethesda in kind of a pickle because their Elder Scrolls cannot sit there. And I personally think that's part of the reason why another one hasn't come out, because I don't know if they 100% know what to do with this. Because they don't want to make it a copy of Elden Ring or just a worse version of Elden Ring, because gamers are become more, I think in my opinion, gamers have become more vocal about the things that they like and dislike.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just make the Elder Scrolls ring on it's not going to pan out well. So I'm really interested to see where they go with this, because I just overall, when I look back at Skyrim, and I look at how the adjustments they're going to have to make, I'm excited to see what Bethesda has to do, because now they have to go back and start to relook and dip into things that they're not going that they probably haven't done already. But I will say, I know we wanted to get into it because it is Halloween, their Halloween season. It's the fall season, and there's really two types of games that are big when it comes to the fall season, and those are comfort games, those cozy ones that you aren't going to sit there, you're not going to think about,
Like your Stardew Valley and stuff.
Oh, yeah, Stardew Valley, Farmville, if you
Yeah,
remember that,
yeah, Farmville.
and your horror ones. Okay, the two types. There's really only two types of fall of them. Okay, one of them is about scaring you to death. The other one's about basically pumpkin spice. And you know, me personally, I love horror games. I do. I think they are great. Um, some of them, I think the scariest games to me are the ones that aren't necessarily made to be horror, and they still happen to be scary anyways. For example, it's not a horror game, but have you ever played Sea of Solitude?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Sea of Solitude is about this girl, and she's dealing with her depression, and you go through parts of her story and her life, and as you're solving puzzles and stuff, and you're all in black, right? You're a little monster thing that she calls herself. She believes that she's a monster, and as like you finally you go through the game, and by the time you get to the end, you actually get to see what she really looks like because she doesn't feel that way anymore, right? So the Sea of Solitude is like you're in a little boat. In the first part of it, you're in a boat and you're traveling around, like trying to solve, like get from point A to point B, solving puzzles, right?
Right.
And then you hear a voice, and it's like a big ass fish that's supposed to represent, I think, her depression, her inner thoughts, her intrusive thoughts, and it's just swimming underneath. It is massive. If you happen to fall into that water, and that's it. And it would scare the shit out of me the first time. Because it's always like talking. It's always trying to goat you into just jumping into the water. And you can see it too, the way it's swimming and stuff. And like, it's actually a really terrifying game in a way, and it's really sad. But it was one of those games where I wasn't meant to be scared, but it did scare me.
Right.
If you know what I mean. And maybe I might do a stream on that one too, because game wasn't actually all that difficult. It was just really fun. But horror games are ones that are. I mean, we all know a horror game that we probably have enjoyed at one point or another.
I go through them every year.
Right. Like, I mean, honestly, Resident Evil 7 actually did scare me. I'm going to use it. It's not necessarily a horror game, I would say, per se, but still an action-based one, but I think it's still horror. Resident Evil 8, I'm totally scared of vampires. So, like, so, don't ever want those to come after me. So, like,
awkward silence later.
Right. Like, just saying. But no, like, when I look at, like, obviously the Five Nights, which I've thought about re-going through the Five Nights, I probably won't, but they are kind of scary. They have their own gimmick, and those are kind of scary ones. I'm sure Sons of the Forest. Yes, Mother Demetrius, come to me.
Don't forget your daughters.
Yes, they're all great.
I mean, MILF Mommy. What?
No, but like, I just feel like it takes a lot for me to really get into the horror, because like otherwise I get bored really quick. Like, you ever played a game, like a horror game, where you're like, oh, it's supposed to be scary, and you're like,
all the time.
I know whatever.
Well, okay, but see, it depends on how you want to look at the horror aspect. Like, yeah, I play like these games, and it's like when you have your jump scares here and there, or you have something chasing you and this and that. If you're not really feeling it, but you're just going along with it, as long as you're just having the fun aspect of it, like, you're going to turn around the corner. Hey, some guy's going to have an axe to your head. You look around that corner, there's nothing there. All of a sudden, it hits you from behind. Yeah, okay, that scares the shit out of you, because it's the fear of not knowing when the prediction actually happens.
Right.
That's what it is. So it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm afraid now I'm gonna shit my pants. No, it's all psychological. That's what it is. Like, I think the Dark Pictures anthologies are jump, like, no, they're like, I'm sorry. I love my horror. They're far from it. Moments. They could have their moments. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say they're completely boring. They're fun. I love the story aspects. They're fun. I will never trash a horror game for not being too scary enough. because I'm not thinking of, oh, I have to shit my pants to in order to be scared. No, I enjoy the game. If it has a good story, that's where I'll say. So, like, if for somebody out there, um, now you may laugh, you may whatever. Like I said, I played this Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay, it just came out for PlayStation. It's one of the PlayStation games of the month. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Doki Doki, and you're like, what the is this game? You're sitting there, you're laughing because it looks like a total like Japanese anime, and you're
It's
just
not the game that you like. If I was like,
yeah.
if I walked in, and it was like, bro, what you playing? You were like, oh, I'm playing Doki Doki. Like I'm
Yeah,
like,
damn right. I'll be sitting there. I'll be looking at you. I'll be like,
the game is
Doki
fucked.
Doki, mofo, Doki Doki, and
Well,
you'll
it's
be
funny
like,
that they both gave. You know what's really interesting is actually
eh,
they dropped Doki Doki Literature Club
with Dead Space.
and the Dead Space at the
Yeah,
same time, and so they're
yeah.
like, one of those is scarier than the other. They're both scary, but it's just in different ways.
But people are gonna look at. They're gonna be like, oh, Dead Space is 100 times scarier than Doki Doki. Yeah, but do you know what Doki Doki is about? No. They'll be like, oh, it's just some. Oh, you read it. Yeah. That's why it comes with a warning. The very first warning that it says is, this game is not suitable for people that have anxiety, fear, depression, and you could just see where it fizzles out right after. So you're like, oh, okay. So I actually picked it up. I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting there, I'm reading, I'm having a good time. There's a smile on my face. And the next thing I know, yeah, my face instantly changed. I'm like, wow.
I might have to actually check this out then.
Yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, Doki
Str-
Doki.
yeah. Streaming it wise, again, you have to put disclaimers on the streaming. I'm not gonna get into it. All I know is I'm just gonna say I platinumed it. The game is not long. I just platinumed it. 15 hours. That's all you need. 100 to fully 100% it is 15 hours. To fully pass the game, literally 4 hours. If you're playing it legitly, it's 4 hours. Now, it does give you the option to skip through.
But why would you skip through a horror game? Like
Oh
that
no.
doesn't.
Oh no. But the thing is that you'll understand. It allows you its replayability and replay value.
Oh.
So this is where I'm getting at now. It's a horror. It's a psychological horror. So, yes, would I give it out of 10? I'll give it about an 8 out of 10. Was it fun? Actually, it was absolutely fun. Do I regret playing it? It was just one of those fun free platinums for me. But honestly, did I get a kick out of it? Yeah, I actually did. Is it what I say horror-esque to the point where you shit yourself? No. Is it shocking? 100%. So it is. So again, you have your different variations of horror. People would say, "Oh, but Dead Space." Yeah, you know what? Get out of that mindset.
But I will say, before I will say though, I think the big thing with Dead Space is it's the tension.
It is. It is. It's tension of being alone.
So if you
definitely anxiety.
remember, because there's something really interesting about it, because there's two different types of tension, especially when it comes to being alone. So you'll have games like Dead Space, which is designed to be horror, right? But then you look at Metroid. Look at Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime, you are alone. That's it. But it's not. Doesn't have that same. It has tension, but it's more of an action sense.
Right.
It depends on who's tension is what makes this absolutely like, and it's usually a shock value too. For example, I think off the top of my head, I think of Little Nightmares 2, right? That the teacher from Little Nightmares 2.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The school part
head just busts through, and you're like, "Yo, what the hell?"
Yeah, they're not real people.
For normal people, but for me who are unhinged, I'm just asking why their monsters are running from me because it's supposed to scare me. That's how I feel when I go. By the time I go and play like Elden Ring, and I'm like, "Oh, you want to fight me, comrade?" Know. But that's what I feel like when it comes to, especially when it comes to horror. It has to be, something unnerving, right? Like it has done to be like a jump scare because jump scares do get old.
No, exactly. It's not about, like I said, it's not about jump scares anymore. It's what makes people unhinged. It's what makes people psychologically question themselves. It now the real horror is, can it happen? Is it real? what is this? Like when you start going through the the 5 W's and the 1 H, the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and then you get to the how, that is horror in a nutshell. When you start second guessing life itself, like when I was playing that game, I'm sitting here and I'm just like watching it. I'm like already the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and then it's like, okay, I'm not even gonna touch the how. And it's like, and then here I am. I'm doing a horror marathon coming up this week with like Dead by Daylight, and there's a secret game I'm gonna be purchasing. Then I got the Dark Pictures anthology. It's like, so why did I bring up Doki Doki? Well, one, A, because it's fun. B, I'm an RPG / shooter streamer, and here I am playing Doki Doki. Eh. It's just for shits and giggles. I saw it. I'm like, let me pick it up. But you know what? It blew out the expectations that I had. It blew out the curiosity that I had. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's a good platinum that I actually picked up. It was fun for a while it lasted, a good like 15 hours. But
I think
yeah.
also too that like it's okay. So this is something that I know we talked about before, and it's how tension. We talked about. Haven't played the Beast Inside yet. But it was. I think of like Amnesia though too. I guess a little bit when I think of that, the Amnesia. But that also equals up to like that whole tense building up kind of horror. That you know something's going to happen, you're not really sure what. And I think that kind of horror is obviously it's psychological. It makes you start second guessing yourself. And something that we talked about was when it came to something like the Dark Pictures anthology. I think what really drew you with Doki Doki is the fact that it's the tone of how everything's changing. It's it's a thriller, it's a horror game, but it's up and it's vibrant. This is something that we talked about when it came to the Dark Pictures anthology, is that all their settings are very dark. All their settings are very gloomy. And yes, while that is scary to an extent, there is something really unnerving about the fact that everything is in daylight, because in your mind, daylight equals typically safe. There's a reason. Look at actually there's a really funny thing in Batman Arkham Origins. When Batman's talking with Alfred and he says, "I'm the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises." Okay? Yeah, that absolutely makes sense because it's Batman. However, now take that away. Now your horror is in a position where everything should be open and very vibrant and happy. You know what I mean? Now, that's where something like Doki Doki can actually make you more terrified.
Well, even as weird as it is, I'll bring up an old one that I got my very first platinum when I got the PS3 for the very first time. Alice McGee's Madness Returns.
Alice Madness Returns, that's a good one.
Alice Madness Returns is a perfectly good one because, again, here we are, Alice in Wonderland. We're talking about the world of Alice in Wonderland. Again, she goes into a world. Is it dark? Is it gloomy? No, it's not. It's vibrant. You have the butterflies. You have the caterpillar. You have the Queen of Hearts. You have Alice. She's in Wonderland. You're like, what's so dark about Wonderland? Well, when you take Alice McGee's version and you flip it, here you go. You got the Jabberwocky. You got the Queen of Hearts who's after you off with her head. Then you got the Mad Hatter or the Mad Rabbits and everything. Everything is all psychological. She sees it from a twisted point of view. But again, is it dark? Is it gloomy? No, it's vibrant. Like you said, like horror doesn't always have to take place in a dark setting. It could take place even in broad daylight itself. Nothing is safe. Nothing is real.
Well, and that's the whole point. That's where things can get really hectic too, and that's where I prefer. Like, I like those kind of ones where it's like bright days. Like, it shouldn't be. It's got to be tense. Things have to be tense. Hell, you know what? You know what's scary? There's something scary, but is not in a scary game. Play a game, any kind of RPG, wherever game it was, and realize you're out of potions. Like, you want to hear what tense is, especially, and I'm going to go way back to this. Voice and Vinyl Voices in this, and anybody else in this, probably can attest to me. If you ever played the old red and blue Pokemon games and that sound that gets made
Yep.
when you are down to like the last little bit of health, that do like that little alert sound, that is nerve-wracking.
Well, I could just say, like, even when I did my Final Fantasy boss fight, dude, I had 50 Giga Potions. By the time I was on the Sephiroth fight, the final fight, I had nothing. I was down to 1 HP, and I had to literally try to somehow scrounge my last breath of Aerith to try to even use her Wind of Healing, and just to die about 500 times. When you have nothing, you're going in there fully prepared, only to have it all wiped before the end. And, but you know what the major fear of that game was?
Hmm.
If you quit the game like I did when I wanted to end my stream, I had the fear that it would not save. The fear of all that 9.5 hour stream was for nothing, that I wasted my time. And when I started up my stream the day after, it happened. It made me restart from zero, like scratch one of chapter 14. It didn't save. That fight that I went 9.5 hours for, all was for nothing. You cannot save. It even tells you this is the point of no return. And I'm like, you want to talk about fear, dude? You would have already thrown the TV out the window. You've already, like, shall we sing it? Shall we sing? Every day I am getting closer to taking a bath with my fucking toaster. Shall we sing that?
Well, like the thing was, I'll say is, for me, when I think of like, if you want to know what the fear isn't the long ass boss fight or not saving. I'll tell you what a fear is. A fear is having your batteries die on you in the middle of a fucking fight.
I did. I had my controller die out 3 times.
Jesus.
My controller, I have to keep it plugged in because the PlayStation controller now, not only am I fighting of stick drift, I'm fighting the fact that the battery pack is done.
Stick drift, yeah, stick drift sucks.
No, but I'm fighting the battery pack is done. That if I remove this cable out of this battery pack or out of this controller, it will not turn on.
My controller ended up dying on me during a fight against, I think it was Godric.
And aren't those amazing when it dies and you're just about to like one hit him?
You never learned how fast you can move your hands until your controller, like, it dies. You like, it's honestly, it's like watching something with like Reload, right? If you watch the Reload, like, remember like in like Halo or something, it's like you smoke. Like, I would pop the back out, slammed it in my hand, dropped it, grabbed more, shoved them back in, clicked it back up, and just like, I was like, bro, I felt like I was like a fucking Spartan, just, and I just kept on playing, and it was like the scariest thing.
And that's how you know you're a true gamer, when you got the battery packs all at the ready, they're all fully charged. Pop one out, you see it go flying across the room, then you slam one in like a shotgun shot, and you just keep going and just like keep plugging it away till that dies out.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think we got pretty good with this. We've already hit our hour mark. I'm actually surprised it's been an hour. It doesn't feel like an hour.
I mean, like this even though we've mostly covered Final Fantasy and we mostly covered like Skyrim during like the quarter of it, it's not much of a rant. This was more based on the learning curves and the tools of what's needed for the next, of what we feel like that these devs have to focus on for the next upcoming RPGs and everything, for like the next games yet to come.
No, exactly. Also, if Voices is still in here, I know him and I talked about doing a Mario Kart. We still have to do our Mario Kart ranking. That one will be eventually. I do have another podcast coming up here with Games and Gamers. I'll have to let you know when that is. That's coming up here on Friday.
Also, can I make a little tip that with since Voices is in here, I know I've discussed it with you and stuff like that. If you guys do it on Twitch, there is that whole knock feature. I know I told you about it, and I'm sure Voices already knows about it. The whole knock. It would be great to see both you guys like collab, like on Twitch. I believe the knock is you can merge with each other at the same time while you both are streaming, and it's like a collaboration stream. So if you guys do your your Mario Kart head to head as you're doing it at the same time, like each level. You guys should also do it like at the same time.
Yeah, that could work too, though. So we'll probably figure out how that works. I've never done the knock feature, but we can also go through the knock feature as well later on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Figure that
I'm always
out.
opening up to like experimenting and stuff. I'm not due for another stream until tomorrow, anyways. The rest of this week is going to be hell week for me, and then I'm back at work, so my schedule is going to be all up in the air as well.
Right. But alrighty, man. I figured we would just be friends on Switch and do a big game together. Oh hell yeah! That would actually be awesome if you give me your Switch friend code, because I can't add you on there otherwise. I mean, I guess I could do the same, but no. But alrighty. Well, I appreciate everybody who's watching. Scorp, appreciate you being here again.
Yeah, man.
Be sure to check us both out on Twitch, obviously Twitch, and for me, I know YouTube as well. I've been kind of slacking on YouTube, but we're gonna be getting back into it. And as always, I'm Taylor from Afro Fish OG, and I'll catch you all in the next one.